So here we will start our new series which is based on the AWS cloud. So I am teaching you according to a certification which is very well known. It's a solution, it's a associate solution architect, SAA. Okay, so here our first topic which we will take is Amazon S3. Usually people take the EC2 first, but I am starting with the S3. Here is the reason, because S3 is a very basic fundamental blocks of the AWS, and it will be used in various services in combine. So we will start with Amazon S3. So just for reference, it is the icon of the Amazon S3. So let's move on to the section intro. So basically, what is S3? So if I am tell you in a simple term, S3 is nothing but as a storage service which is provided by the AWS. Okay, and it is advertised as a infinite scaling storage, because if you have some GB data you can put in S3. If you have some petabyte, megabyte, however large amount your data is, S3 is capable to store it. Okay, and S3 sort of one use of the S3 will be to store the data, and the second will be it is also used to host the many websites. For example, we can host our static websites on it, and any website which you visit in, if they are hosted on the AWS cloud or somewhere, it's a highly possible chance that their images, their HTML static contents are hosted on the S3. Okay, and as I told you before, like AWS services, there are lots of AWS services which will combine with S3 and then give a full view. Okay, now let's move on to the next section. So here you can see I just list down some of the use case of the S3. One is just backup and storage, because while backing up the data we need a very high scalable solution which can store a lot of data. In disaster recovery also, it's a kind of this, in archive also. So basically first 3 points are interrelated, and then fourth is the hyper cloud storage. So it's not like if you are using the cloud to host your website, for example Azure, so it's not like you can't use the AWS. So this terminology is known as the hyper cloud storage. So basically your website is hosting at some other a service provider, and this one storage will be handled by some other service provider. And fifth is the application hosting, which I told you, media hosting, data lakes, because they need a very big data storage capabilities, static websites, and then the software delivery. So let's start with the very basic term which S3 has. It's a bucket. So basically it's a container, or it's some kind of a bucket you can imagine, where we will put all our data. So if I go with the point 5, S3 allows people to store objects file in buckets. You can say directly. For example, like in our local systems we has the C drive, D drive, E drive. Similarly for S3 we use the terminology as buckets. And the buckets, the main focus point here is the bucket must have a global unique name. Okay, so it means it should have a global unique name. If you are, for example, if we open our some Google account, we need some unique Google email ID, right? So similarly here we need a global unique name, and then these buckets are basically defined at region level. So but these two things are like contradictory. You can say like you are saying like unique names must be global, but buckets will be defined at region level. So S3 it looks like a global service, but buckets are created in regions. Okay, and now here comes the most important part, the naming conventions. So you can go through it. It's no uppercase, no underscore, 3 to 64 characters long, not an IP, must start with a lower letter or number, must not start with prefix x and hyphen, must not end with suffix dash s3 alias. Okay, so after we understand the bucket, now it's a time for objects. Okay, so objects, what are they? They are the data part or the data files which are stored in that particular bucket. Okay, so every object or files have a key. The key is the full part. For example, this type of file is a, it's basically the access of that file. Okay, that key basically composed of the prefix plus object. Mm. Yeah. Concept of directories within buckets, all the things are put in a one thing, and then the long names contains the slash. Okay, so this is all for today, and tomorrow we will continue from here. Thank you.